Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
I'm Mary Lou.
And I'm Phoenix. For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357 and everywhere else at 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
That's kind of funny. We're online at dothemathonline.net,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of repetitive a little bit, but we need to say that because otherwise somebody will go to a whole different website and it won't be ours. So, Phoenix, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
All right. What grade are you in?
I'm in 6th.
Where do you go to school?
I go to Miller Elementary.
Mustangs, are they not?
Yes,
All right.
Mustangs.
So have you been at Miller for, because that's still a relatively new school, but it might be old enough where you've been there all the time. When did you start going to Miller?
I started going to Miller this year.
Oh, okay. So this is your first year at Miller. Mm-hmm. So were you close by before or you moved into the area?
I moved into the area.
All right, good. So you happy with Miller?
Yes, very.
There's nothing you would change about it?
Mm-hmm. It's great.
It's a great school. You're digging it. Mm-hmm. All right, good. Do you know who that school was named after?
Douglas J. Miller.
Excellent. And do you know what his role was with the district?
I've seen it before.
He was the superintendent, but before that he was an instructor, and before that he used to work with his father, and I believe he used to take care of some of the maintenance at schools when he was young. And he kind of grew up with the whole district and eventually became the head of the whole district. Wow. Never know what can happen, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So how is 6th grade going?
Very well. I love it there. I have good friends.
Well, that's one of the most important things is that you have some good friends while you're at school because you spend a lot of your day there, right? Mm-hmm. What is so great about 6th grade or Miller? Like you're saying, it's very well, everything's going.
They have a lot of opportunities. So I'm in music. They let me go to the county science fair. And I'm in chorus, and I got to go to Stone Creek a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, for an orientation?
Yes.
So I don't think they let you go to the science fair.
Yeah,
I think you earned your way to the science fair for the county one, right? So briefly explain what your science fair project was, because if you made it to the county level, that means you did pretty well at your school level. So what was your project?
My project was, can a brain freeze kill you, or can you beat the freeze?
So, can you beat the freeze? Tell us how you can beat the freeze.
So
what was your hypothesis?
My hypothesis, I thought that it would hurt a lot, but not intentionally kill you.
Okay. And what did you do?
So what I did is I researched online, and I found that, I don't have my thingy, there's receptors in your mouth here, and whenever something cold, for example, ice cream, goes in there, it tells them, hey, it's super cold, so we gotta warm it back up. So it tells the brain, which one do you wanna hurt more, the mouth or the brain? But they always go for immediate relief in the mouth, so they always decide to hurt the brain.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Do you think the same thing would work with super hot foods? Like temperature hot, not spicy hot, or it might be either way, but.
Yeah, that's why sometimes we have to blow our food, like soup, if it's too hot.
Have you ever had a piece of pie, pizza, and it's very hot, and you can feel like the top of your mouth right there? So that's kind of what's going on too, right? Instead of a brain freeze, pizza melt or something like that, pie melt, right?
I'm thinking of peppers automatically.
Oh, there you go. All that
hot,
capsaicin
spicy
get in there.
food.
Yeah.
That's pain in the mouth.
In
not
the
brain.
tongue.
Yes.
Right. And the thing with that, people go, well, I'm going to drink some water, but that only spreads the capsaicin further.
That's when you melt.
That's
So you need milk or butter, some sort of fat to absorb that, right?
people say it's best to use honey because it gets all those capsaicin cells
Covers it all.
off.
Oh,
And they say to use something sweet to help relieve the pain.
All right.
that's a
Well, good.
thing I just
So have
learned.
you,
Thank you.
given any thought as to what you might want to do when you're through with school?
I would like, for Stone Creek, I would like to do a lot of science.
I know that. Let's say you're out of Stone Creek and you're out of whatever high school you go to, and let's say you maybe go to university. Do you have a goal for that point of your life?
Yes, I would like to be a architect.
Oh, excellent. Well, we have some architects that work with us on Do the Math, Ortiz Melby Architects. They designed many of the schools in the Panama School District. And if you'd like to, I'll give you some information. You can talk to those guys down there, and the sooner you get in, the better, huh? All right, cool. You ready to do a math problem today?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at the math problem of the day. This was posed on social media, and it said, what is the coefficient of x in 2x plus 3? So first of all, don't even worry about the answer, but tell me what you can about that problem. What does the word coefficient mean, if you know what it means, and what does 2x plus 3 mean? Because there's some kids looking at that going, I have no idea why there's an x, and what does all that mean?
So the x means that there's a variable
Good.
that you have to multiply by 2.
And that could be anything right now.
Yeah, anything.
Right, because we could put a positive number in there like 2, and if we put 2 in there, it would be 2 times 2 plus 3 would be 7. Could I put a negative number in there?
Maybe. I'm not
Why do you
sure.
think maybe?
Because can't you times multiplication and wait,
Well, can I? Can I go 2 times negative 3?
yes.
You're asking me or telling me?
Yes.
You looked a little nervous there with the eyes going up like, yes. Okay. So you're saying, yes, you can do 2 times negative 3.
Yes.
So will negative 3 work for x in that case?
Yes. Yes.
There you go. That's why I like, yes. All right. You have said negative. So what if it was negative 3? What would the answer be?
Then you would have to multiply 2 times negative 3.
And what would that be?
Negative 6.
Perfect. And what's negative 6 plus 3?
That would be negative 3.
So you're comfortable with integers,
Yes.
right? Positive and negative numbers. So we know we can use a negative number in there. Can we use a positive number?
Yes.
So let's say 3. So what would that whole thing be if we use 3 for x?
It would be 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 3, which is 9.
Okay. Can I use a fraction in there?
Yes.
Are you sure about
Yes.
that? All right, good. I just want to make sure that everybody's cool. All right. So we could put 2 times 1/2 plus 3.
Yes.
Could I put a decimal in there?
Yes.
I could. Could I put a square root of something in there? Could I put something raised to an exponential power in there?
Yes.
Now we're getting a little complicated here because otherwise the exponent would be in there already. I think they're just looking for a whole number right there. Fraction or decimal, things like that. So you said that x is the variable.
Yes.
So what about coefficient? What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, so the coefficient would be the number in front of the variable. So taking a look at that, we have 2x plus 3. What would the coefficient be?
2.
2. So let's look at our options, 0, 2, 3, and 5. So can you think of a reason why 0 might be a possible answer? Like how would somebody maybe come up with 0?
Well, if you multiply 2 times 0, that gives you 0. And then you add 3, it would be 3.
Okay, so that could be maybe why somebody would get C, and you might think, well, there's no number at x, so let's just make it 0 if they're not understanding what coefficient means. Why do you think somebody would get 5?
Because you can multiply 2 times 5, which is 10, add 3 to get 13.
Okay, or I was thinking somebody might just go 2 plus 3 is 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
not
what I
even
was
worry about the x. But you're going to go with 2. You feeling good about that?
Yeah.
You feeling real good?
Yes.
There we go. That's why I like a strong yes right there. You feeling good? Let's take a look and see if B is indeed the answer. There you go. First one done, son. Nice job. All right, that is today's problem of the day. Thank you to everybody that participates in that on our social media, different venues that we have. Time now for today's Math in the News. So I know that you said that you're involved in a lot of things at school. You're in band, you're in chorus, and you went to the county science fair because you're a smart young man and did very well with that. And do you do any other activities at school?
Sports.
And what sports do you partake in?
Since they don't have baseball, we have a replacement, which is kickball.
Okay.
It's like baseball. We do tennis, baseball. Baseball is like my favorite sport in the entire world. I play a lot of basketball, and my teacher has this, for Friday, we get free PE, and he brings out flag football equipment.
Okay. So you like free PE?
Yes.
All right. You like basketball? Mm-hmm. Well, good. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Are you aware of March Madness?
Yeah.
What do you know about this?
It's college basketball.
It is college basketball. And why is it called March Madness? Do you have any idea why it's called that? All right. Do you have a favorite college that you like to follow as far as any sports go, or that you just you like that college, or maybe you're planning on going there or something, or maybe your parents have gone somewhere? Or
I haven't thought that far.
all right. Well, you only need to worry about junior high next year, right? Stone Creek Junior High. All right. So March Madness is going on. Last weekend was the first weekend. So they started off with 64 teams. And actually they start with 68 because there are 4 teams that play to get into
March Madness.
the field, right? So they take 64 teams and they play. So once they play, the winners then go into another bracket, okay? So how many teams would be left? If 64 played and half are going to lose and half are going to win, how many are left from the 64?
So that would be 64 divided by 2, which is then also divided by 2.
No, so just divide it by 2 one time.
So that would be 32.
Good. So they got to 32, and then the next day after that, or a day in between, they play again, those 32 teams. How many would be left then?
16?
16, right? So that's called the Sweet 16, and that's where we're at now. So we can take a look. This is what the whole bracket looks like. And they have people, they take hours on these things and fill these things out. And it's blank right now because we did it before all of the teams were chosen. So I think Alabama was one number 1. Houston was another number 1. Purdue and Kansas. So they were number 1 based on how they did during the year. So if you're a number 1 team, and you would be up here at the top of a region, okay? So you can see how this right here, there are 16 slots right here. So there are 4 areas, right? So we have 1 and 2, and then over here 3 and 4. So the 16 teams in one bracket are all set up here. So the 1 would play the 16. Does that make sense? So who would 2 play?
The 32?
Well, it only goes to 16. So if 1 is playing 16, 2 will play
16?
15.
Oh, 15.
3 will play 14, and it
14,
goes like that. Okay.
13.
So the teams played that, and then they moved on to here, and this is where they're at now. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got 4 brackets. So there's 16 teams now. So it's called the Sweet 16. Okay. After that, these 2 teams will play. And then they'll come here, and this will be the Elite 8. Then they'll play, and these 4 here will be the Final 4. And then they play, they get the Final 2, and then they have the ultimate champion at the end of the whole thing. So that's how a bracket looks. And a lot of people guess as to who's going to keep moving on and see if anybody can get a perfect bracket. Do you think it would be easy to get all 64 teams and have them all go and have it work exactly the way you think?
Not that easy.
Probably not that easy, right? What do you think might happen?
Well, it's not just the math of it, because it's the performance of the team and how well they play.
Right. Because it could be an upset, right? Somebody might go, oh, it did happen, right? Where a number one got beat by a lower seeded team. Twice actually so far.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So when people take a lot of time working on this, trying to get the perfect bracket, do you think you would have a better shot at doing this or playing the lottery, let's say?
Maybe the lottery.
Maybe the lottery? Well, let's take a look. This, you would have a better shot at winning the lottery, okay? Because you would have a 1 in 9.2 quintillion, okay? So look at how many places this is, right? You know place values, right? So what does this 8 represent?
The hundreds.
Right, that's hundreds. What's this?
100,000.
100,000s. So this is thousands. This would be
Millions.
millions.
Trillions.
Billions.
Billions.
Right?
Then it's
Billions.
trillions.
Trillions.
Quadrillions.
Quadrillions. Quintillions. That is a lot, right? So you have a possible outcome. You can win 1 in 9.2 quintillion times. So it's very, very difficult for somebody to come up with a perfect bracket. Those are your odds of actually doing it correctly. Because you'll hear terms like the Cinderella team, right? They upset somebody. They, upset somebody, and then everybody's bracket is all gone. Because once you get one wrong, the whole thing's done. So there are some other types of brackets. Have you ever played knockout at school with basketball?
No.
All right. Well, maybe on the playground sometime you'd be like, hey, you guys ever play knockout? And then you can learn the game. But this, okay, would be a knockout is what they did in the 64. So this right here, once you play once and lose, you're knocked out. You're done. Okay? So there's other brackets, double elimination. So that's what this is. So you'll play, and if you lose, you come down here, but you're going to have to play
the
more
losers.
games. See?
Now it clicked.
It makes sense on that one
You have
now?
more chances.
Okay.
that way.
So then we can see another type. This is a round robin bracket where you go into play everybody at some point, and based on your performance, right, it depends upon how far you'll go in this. And then the last one we have, this is the Swiss format, where the top 8 teams advance. And you can see right here the top 8 teams would go. And then what they're going to do is they're going to take the top 4. The top 2 will automatically move on. Okay? And then you keep going like that. And then if you have so many losses, you're going to be eliminated. But that is another type right there. And that is today's Math in the News. Brackets. A lot of brackets, huh? A lot of different types. So anyway, Mary Lou, did you partake in any of those brackets with the NCAA March Madness at
No,
all?
not this year.
I don't deal with it at all either because I know my shot is 1 at 9 quintillion or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I
So-
normally go for the Cinderella story.
Well, what I
Try
do
to
is I
cheer for
eventually I
them.
like to pick the team that I think is going to win it, and I've done that before, but I didn't pick the exact route that everybody was going to take to get
yeah.
there. So, you ready to do some math finally? I know
Yes.
we talked about one problem, but I think it's time for you to get to work, don't you? All right, over to the board, young man. Let's take a look at the camera. This is some of the homework that you brought in today. You're trying to figure out the area of triangles right now. And the first one we can see is done for you. So, Phoenix, explain number 1 and how they came to be 30 feet squared.
Can I write on the board?
Yes, go
By
right
all
ahead.
means.
Okay. So, what they've taught us in school is that. Oh, I messed up.
Oh, that's okay.
Area equals one half of base 1 plus. Or wait, that's for the other problem.
This is for triangles, right?
Yes. That one was for
Oh, if you go-
trapezoids.
Okay, try it
That
again.
one. Okay, so it's gonna be 1/2 of height times length.
Okay. Is there another way to write this equation besides 1/2 height?
Yes, so you could turn this into HL, or you can do times 0.5, or you can do divided by 2.
Okay. So when you're saying divided by 2, Can we also write it divided by 2 this way as well?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways we can look at this. Okay, so what were those measurements? How did they get 30 squared feet?
So they got it by 10 times 6, which equals 60. Then you have to divide, which would be, or I'll just write it over here, which would be 3. That would be 6, 0, 0, 0, 0, 30.
Or we could kind of think about it without having
Yeah.
to do the work. We could, as you said here, half. What's half of 60?
You could also do like 2 and just 6. And you can get 3, and then you can just add the 0.
Or we could just say, what's half of 60? Which is
30.
We could do it that way because we know the half as well. The other thing on the picture that I really wanted to note that we kind of see this, right?
Yes.
And then we have our triangle here. And the measurements, what was the bottom measurement?
The base is 6.
The base is
base.
6. And then the height right here
Is 10.
Is 10. What do we know about triangles? Why do you think they have this dotted line here? What do we know about triangles?
So they want to make it a quadrilateral.
Quadrilateral? Okay, so
say it.
what's the difference between a triangle and a quadrilateral then?
So a triangle is half, 180 degrees, and you need another 180 degrees to make a full 360.
So this is half of this whole quadrilateral,
Yes.
which is a rectangle,
That's
correct?
why we have to divide.
And that's where that comes in. So if I just used this formula right here, what does that give me?
That would give you 60
And that is the area of a
square.
of the square or rectangle,
rectangle.
right? So that would give me the area of a rectangle. So that's how they came up with area of a triangle, because we know that
It's just a half.
half, exactly.
And another way you can do this is instead of going 6 by 10 and then taking half of that, you can take half
Half.
of one of the numbers already.
Exactly.
So you can go 6 times 5.
Which
Because-
gives you 30.
30, or we could change
3
this
times
to a 3 and go 3 times 10 as well.
So let's take a look at the next problem you have, because this one doesn't have the answer there.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase that.
So now we have another triangle.
At a page.
And if you want to go ahead and draw something up there, but we do have a base of 50.
Okay. Let's see. Let me go ahead and let's see if we could draw this correct. And then
And it's like a dotted
it's-
line,
it's a dotted line, and then we kind of have the dotted line.
like a trapezoid.
It's a trapezoid, right? And then this comes down to here.
There
Did I
you
get
go.
that right? Okay. And then our measurements on this are,
50 for the base and 37 for the height.
is it centimeters?
Correct.
And you said 37?
37.
Okay. So what do you think on this?
So since we're doing the same exact formula, we could still multiply, which would be, I'm just gonna make it a little easier by just multiplying with 5. So 7 times 5 would be 35.
Okay.
And 3 times 5 would be 15 plus 3, which would be 18. And since there's that 0, we got to add a 0, which would be 1,850.
Okay. But are we done?
No,
What do we have to do?
we have to divide. So we would divide by 2 because
Okay.
we have to do half. Or can I try multiplying it by 0.5?
Yes, you could do that as well. But I'm going to ask you real quick. I do want you to do multiply by 0.5 because I love the way you want to do that. What is half of 18?
Half of 18 is like
If I cut 18 in
9.
half, it's what? It's 9, right?
Yeah.
And then what's half of 25? I mean, half of 50, sorry.
25.
25. So putting those two numbers together, what number does that make?
925.
Okay, so multiply by your 5/10. Let's see
Okay.
what you get.
So you get 1850, and then we would multiply by 5, but we would add the point. So 5 times 0. 5 times 0 is 0.
Here, I'll move the page up for you real quick so you have more room.
Thank you. So 5 times 5 is 25. That kind of messed up. 8 times 5 is 40 plus the 2, which is 42. And then 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4, which is 9.
And then where's our decimal point go?
The decimal.
And did we get 925?
We did.
And there's multiple ways to get there, huh? I love the way that you said we can divide it by 2, we can multiply by 5/10, or we can mentally think about that and say, what's half of that number?
Nicely done, but 925 is not the answer.
It's not, because what did we forget? What did we forget?
My brain slipped.
A equals 925 what? What's our units?
Centimeters.
Centimeters what?
Squared.
Yep, squared centimeters. There we go.
Nicely done. Now, since you've completed the problem, I can say that you've done some great work and you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Broken Hill Cafe. So congratulations on that. We've got plenty more coming up, and do you think you'd like to be an entrepreneur someday, maybe?
Yes.
All right, well, let's check it out.
All right, I'm helping grab the dollar counter.
What's so exciting about it is them really understanding that, yes, I can do this. It's not that I can, I am doing this.
How do you think your ad is going to attract customers? Let's put it down there and let's make it come alive, and you see opportunity. So we teach that where other people see problems, entrepreneurs see opportunity.
How to start it, how to run it. I was like one step ahead. It started growing pretty quick thanks to social media. More known, more followers, and more orders all over the country, and even to Canada, Australia, shipped overseas. It's really hard to keep up. Right now, it takes about a week or two to ship out a hat. The customers understand. They understand that I'm not a huge company right now, just a small business. This past month, we did about 800 orders. That's combined though, both in-store and online. If I get enough help, I want to start up a second store, more in the city. My senior year, high school, went to the ROC Entrepreneurship Small Business Program. That kind of influenced me to start a business. Mr. Russo's class helped me a lot.
Try to tie your sales to a special event. So this is a bath bomb store, so Mother's Day is the perfect opportunity to run with that. So I think that was well conceived. We teach the entrepreneurial mindset, and entrepreneurs are perpetually optimistic, okay? You always know that failure is a possibility, but you push forward despite that.
So what we're doing is figuring out more ways for students to engage in actual action-based activity and experience as part of entrepreneurship. The more that we can be experiential and we give them this experience and they put this in action, that reinforces the learning, it reinforces the confidence, and we find that they continue to go forth in these endeavors.
My first thing I sold was earrings. I make them, myself. I sell things on Instagram. I tried OfferUp, but no, it didn't work.
What worked today? What didn't work? What can I do? We teach pivoting and how can I move in a different direction for my business? Who is my true customer and what are their needs?
I've sold a lot. I've sold 3 big boxes of 50. Yeah, I know a lot of kids like hot Cheetos, and then cheese is a good combination.
My business, I sell crochet items and drinks, and I think it's going pretty well. I sold out of the sodas so far. I still only have very few drinks. Kate. She was selling hot Cheetos and chips, and when she sold out of chips, we sold her our chips, and then she would sell them and give back what we sold her for it.
One of our objectives here at the ROC campus is to get our students prepared for post-secondary education. So what a better way to have them go through an entry-level course in their pathway.
But it's taught by me in this classroom, and we work them through the entire curriculum. I use the exact same curriculum that BC uses. The students are able to get 3 business units that go on their transcripts, and those are transferable, so they can take those to any college.
Out in the real world, you hear a lot of no's. It's always no, no, no. And, you know, entrepreneurship is all about embracing that no and overcoming rejection. It's the mindset of being able to be who you want and do what you want.
And another great career pathway right there. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. And today we are fortunate enough to have somebody from the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra. Mary, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. So what is your role with the symphony?
So I play the flute in the symphony. I have been playing in the symphony now for 3 seasons. And I grew up going to listen to concerts, so it's really exciting for me to be a part of the group now.
So when you were in elementary school, the young people's concerts, which is what they still go to now, right?
Yes.
So is that kind of what sparked your interest a little bit? Or
yes, yeah, I did grow up going to those, and my parents were taking us to concerts when we were really young. My parents also played in the orchestra, so I would go to hear them play, and I've just been immersed in music since a young age, and so I'm really excited to share it with other
Well, good. Well, we're glad that you're here today, Mary. What will you be doing with Phoenix today?
So today we're going to be talking about fractions, which is always fun, and how they relate to music. So, for example, if we have, let's say, a pizza, we're hungry, right? And we cut it in half. Now we have 2 halves of the pizza, and we always show it 1/2, right? 1/2. So we're using fractions to show us an amount, to show us a length of something or an amount of something. And that is the same thing we're doing with music. We use fractions all the time in music to do lengths of notes, lengths of rhythms, and to break up our measures. And our measures are just like an equation. We have to have them balanced, and we have to have them equal to each other and the correct number of beats in each measure. So that's what we're talking about today. So I do have here some pages that demonstrates a couple different things. So for example, in this, how many objects in this are round? So there's 4 objects here. How many of those are round objects?
Well, all the sides, they're all rounded.
That's true. That's true. Very, very good. What about how many of them are circles?
2.
2 of them are circles out of the 4. So we have 2 out of the 4 as circles. Well, we can simplify that, right? Mm-hmm. What would we simplify that to?
1/2.
1/2, right? So half of our measure is circles, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, very good. So in this one, how many of the objects here are red?
1.
1. So we'd express that as 1/4, right? Mm-hmm. Very good. And in this one, how many of these are blue?
3.
3. So we had 1/4 were red, and then 3/4, and that equals to
1.
1, 4/4, or 1. I'm sorry, I wasn't very neat about this. Or 1. So we have different rounded shapes, different squared shapes, different colored shapes, but together they all create 1. So we have to make sure that those are totally balanced, right? Mm-hmm. And you are a percussionist, right?
Yes.
How long have you been playing percussion?
About 3 or 4 years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you like playing drums?
Yes.
What's your favorite instrument to play?
I love playing the snare, and in Stone Creek I could take 2 musics. So for the orchestra, I want to play the bass.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yes. So you get both. You get string world and band world. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why is snare drum your favorite instrument?
I just like the sensory of just hitting the drums and having multiple types of drums all around me and cymbals, and they all play different sounds.
I love that, and you combine them all to make one. I love that. It is a great tactile experience, percussion instruments, right? Very good. So you know all about rhythms, right? So like we were talking about balancing our equation and reading music, right? So we're using fractions, we're using rhythms to split up our measure evenly. And then we have notes, right? Like when you play the bass, you'll be reading different notes. So I kind of like to think of music as an axis, like an X and Y axis, right? So this is X, right? This is where our rhythms are going to be. This is like the fractions we're talking about. And our Y axis are the notes, right? So I need to know where to graph my notes on the music. I need to know where in time they are and then what pitch they need to be. So there is so much math stuff related to music, which I always think is really, really fun. So I'm going to play a couple different things. I'm going to start with a slower piece. So important to keep our measures balanced in slow music, right? Because I don't know about you, sometimes I find it's easier to get lost in the slower, longer rhythms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to play a slower, just a little excerpt of a slower piece at an adagio. An adagio is a slower tempo. So I want you to be counting in your head and see if you think that I'm making all of my measures equal, if I'm making all of my rhythms add up equally, okay? Okay. What do you think? Is it pretty steady?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, even through the breaks in the sound. Would you agree? So that's one of the great things about what I find so fascinating about music and why I think it's so great to tie it into math is that even in the silence, because the silence is still a part of the music, right? Just because I'm not playing doesn't mean it's not music happening.
Like
right?
rests and half rests and full note rests.
Exactly right. So I need to make sure that even though I'm resting, even though I'm not playing, I'm keeping that consistency and I'm still making sure that my measures add up to themselves. And then we can get into even more complicated fractions, even more complicated rhythms, and break up the measures even more. And it's especially important when you're playing like in your band at school, or eventually in your orchestra at school, or the Bakersfield Symphony, that all the musicians are being so careful about keeping our equations balanced so that we can play together really cohesively, right? And a sound together. So I'm gonna play something a little bit faster, that's a little bit different of a time signature, and we'll see how I do, okay? So we're moving a little bit of faster tempo.
Yes.
But we're still breaking up that measure so that everything adds up. The equations balance each other out, right?
Yes.
So And as you continue to grow in math, as we continue to grow in music and all at home in your music programs, I hope everyone watching is enrolled in at school. Then we could do more and more complicated rhythms, more and more complicated math, and it just opens up a more exciting world of music to us, which I think is really, really exciting. So,
So Mary, that was excellent right there. When is the next concert for the symphony coming up?
So our next performance is going to be Saturday, May 6th at 6:30 at the Mechanics Bank. I really, really hope everyone can come. It's going to be a really exciting concert. We're playing Berlioz Symphonie Fantastique, which I know you would love because there's tons of great percussion in it, tons of great brass, woodwind strings, and we're also playing the Rodrigo Guitar Concerto, which is really fun because you don't always get to hear guitar when you go to the symphony, and it's a beautiful concerto. So I really hope to see a lot of people there. It's going to be a great, fantastic performance, our season closer.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the season closer, and when does the season usually begin? So people are like, oh, this is the last one, but when did it start?
Yeah, we'll start again in October. So we'll have concerts October, November. We always have a really, really fun Holiday Pops concert in December. We have great youth concerts throughout the year, which I was very fortunate to go to growing up. I didn't know if you ever got an opportunity to go when you were, a few years ago, maybe. Yeah, those are always really fun. This year we did Harry Potter music, so it was very exciting.
Yeah.
And at our concert in May, we're going to be announcing all of the music we're going to be playing in the next season.
I was going to say, because I was fortunate enough to be able to go at least twice this year to two of your concerts. And Mary, even though this is your first time live on Do the Math, you're not a rookie to Do the Math, correct?
I am not. I actually used to call into this show when I was doing math problems in elementary school and junior high, and I got a lot of after-school help here. My math teachers at Stockdale Elementary and Actis Junior High highly encouraged me to call in, and it was incredibly helpful. And I'm really excited to be back on this side of it now, so it's really fun for me.
Well, I'm glad that we helped you out when you were younger, and by you coming in today, you are helping immensely a lot more students, more than you can even possibly imagine right now, especially getting them into music and how math and music work together. And we would just like to send you back to the symphony with a small token of our appreciation, because this is the year that the Bakersfield Symphony has been part of Do the Math. You guys have been kind enough to come in every single month and have a different instrument and somebody that is an expert with that instrument talk about how math is applied with that instrument, with music, and together with the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra. We thank you very much for your partnership this year.
Thank you.
All right. So, Mary Lou, have you ever been wondering about a tiny house?
Yes.
What intrigues you about a tiny house?
How they get everything to fit the way they do. It's amazing to watch how they get all that storage in there, but yet it seems roomy.
That is, and one of the times I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at an actual size house and a tiny house, and maybe we'll compare the areas and things like that. But right now we're going to take out a little something from SeaTech.
It's a lot of things regarding animals. You could be filing their paperwork, doing physical exams. It's just a lot of different things. It's kind of different every day.
They could do like a lot of things, like they could do vaccines, they could do grooming, a lot of things they learn.
There is a broad spectrum of things they're going to learn, so it's going to be a lot of terminology, dog breeds, cat breeds, restraint and handling. There's just a big number of things that they're going to learn, a lot of things.
Keeping your cool when it comes to like certain things, just because with certain dogs they don't like getting their temp checked. So just having to stay calm is probably one of the hardest, just because there's so many things that can go wrong, you know?
I would say one of the things I think that students find most difficult is restraint and behavior, because you do have to be able to anticipate what the dog or cat is going to do next. You have to use the less is more method, and then sometimes we have to get our doctor to help with that and maybe give some chemical restraint, because the dog is just not going to have it. So with pharmacology, that's like medication doses and stuff of that nature, so they do need to know math, because we convert the pet's pounds into kilograms. and that's how we figure out their medication dose. So we go a little bit over that, but they will learn a lot more of that as they go into college if they go to vet school. There's a lot. So there are some here at the teaching hospital. There's some also in the grooming facility we have that's in the teaching hospital. Students can go to vet clinics, they can go to groomers, they can go to boarding facilities, large animal feed stores. There's just a lot of opportunities for them if they want to do it and they work really hard, they will get placed in an internship. Sometimes we go out to the farm and help them, we assist in that, as well as the ewes will start lambing and they've already had their lambs, and we help assist with that, as well as putting casts and splints sometimes on their legs, which we've had to do recently. There's steers on the farm, there's pigs on the farm, so there's piglets that were just born, so we can help with those too. As long as we're needed to do that, then we can help assist with the large animals.
And once again, a big thanks to all of those staff and students at CTEC and ROC. They 100% produce those videos and send them to us ready-made, and we couldn't be happier with those guys. Phoenix is a 6th grade student from Miller Elementary. First year being a Mustang, loves everything at Miller. You said that you were part of the County Science Fair, but we didn't get the important part. How did you do at the County Science Fair?
I got 2nd place.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about right there, 2nd place. And you were competing against 6th graders and 7th graders and 8th graders.
Mm-hmm.
And you still took 2nd place.
Yeah.
With the brain freeze. Yeah, there you go. A couple of bells on that one. All right, so you were working on areas of triangles, and you feel pretty comfortable with those, and it looked like you got a pretty grasp on that.
Yeah.
Ready to do some volume now?
Sure.
All right, let's go to it. So we've got a prism up here, and you and Mary Lou are going to go ahead and tackle this one and talk about volume, what it means, and how to go about this problem whatever way you think is the best way, because there's probably about 18 different ways to do this. So Phoenix, you talk to Mary Lou about how you would like to solve this. So our measurements are 5, and you can call them feet if you want.
Okay. Is it
So
just?
so up on the top, you've got 3 and 3/4.
Oh, thank you. And you said feet?
Let's go with feet.
Okay. And then
5 feet.
this is 5
And
feet
5 down below
and
on your side. There you go.
over here.
Yes.
Okay, this is 5 feet as well.
So we're looking for volume.
So what do you know about volume?
I know it is a form of multiplication.
So when you say a form of multiplication, what do you mean?
Like multiplying all your, I guess, not variables because they're not unknown.
No.
All your integers.
Okay, let's go back to the triangle. You knew the formula was half of the height multiplied by the length.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back to the area of a quadrilateral, which is a rectangle or a square, okay? And what is the formula for a rectangle or a square?
So, for example, we can have x times 2.
Well, but what's the variables we use for that? Is it base times height, or is it width times height? What's the?
Well, they're all the same for a square.
Okay.
But we could do base times height.
Base times height.
Or width times length.
Width times length, okay. Or we could do width times length. Okay, let's go with the width times length, right? So we know that that is going to be the bottom part, right? That's our area. So when we're saying volume, though, right? Volume is not the outside of it.
It's everything in the inside.
It's everything on the inside. So how do we come up? First of all, how would you solve these? You're saying multiplication.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we multiplying?
Multiplying all our numbers.
So you're saying we want to multiply all 3 of those numbers together, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so multiply those 3 numbers together for me.
So, let's start off with 5 times 5. So 5, well, we already know what that is. It's pretty easy. It's 25.
Okay.
And let's see, 3/4. What could that be as a decimal? 25, 50, 75?
Okay.
So it would be 3.75. And then we're not adding, so we can just do 2, 5. We
Okay.
don't have to line them up. So 5 times 5 is 25. 7 times 5 is 35 plus 2, which is 37. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 3, which is 18. Add a placeholder. Let's just cross these out. 5 times 2 is 10. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 1 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And then we add. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 0 is 7. 8 plus 5 is 13. And 7 plus 2 is 8. So that would be our answer.
7, let's look at this again. 7 plus
9.
2. Okay.
I messed up.
Oh, that's okay. That's a good thing. We learn from those, don't we?
Yes. That was one of the presentations over there at the science fair.
About growth mindset? And
and the science of messing up.
was it positive?
Yes.
There you go. So are we done yet? What are we
Pretty
missing? Go back
The
and look.
decimals.
The decimals. Okay. So what are we going to do? So you're saying our solution is 93 and 75 hundredths, but are we done with that?
We could simplify it into a fraction.
Okay. So if I simplified it into a fraction, what would that be then?
That would be 93 and right back to where we were, 3/4.
3/4. What are we missing? Is it feet? Is it squared feet? Or is
It's
it
cubed.
Oh, it's cubed. Why is it cubed and not squared?
Because there's 3 main integers.
Okay. And when we talk about squared, we're talking about the outside, right?
Yeah, just a square.
Okay, so you said that it is about multiplication. What this is really saying is this. Let's talk about our base, and I'm going to change the color for a second. Let's talk about our base here, okay? Because if we have a base, and I'm probably going to draw this wrong, if we have our base, oh, what just happened?
Hold on a second.
There we
Let
go.
me,
Oh.
hold on, sister. You keep on going there.
Oh wait, I had it. Okay, there we go.
Now we're there.
If we talk about our base, right? We know that it's going to be 5 feet by 3 and 3/4. So what is 5 feet multiplied by 3 and 3/4? Can you multiply that for me real quick?
Yeah, so we could start with 5 times 3.
Yep. Well, we need 5. Go 3 and 75 hundredths multiplied by 5.
Okay.
Let's see what we get.
3.75 times 5, 25. 35 plus 2, 37. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 3, which is 18.
So this area here is 18 and 75 square feet, okay? That's the bottom. But how many of those do we have? We have 5. That's what that's saying. So if I know what the base is, if I just have the base information, I can multiply that by 5 because I have 5 of those layers. And that is why we multiply those 3 numbers. So if you are just given the base and the height, we can find the volume.
And then it's also different because with squared, it's like a normal square. And this is a cube.
It's cube because we have exactly, and these make up that. Layers of these make up that. So we can also have volume equals our base times our height. Because if we know the area of our base, I'm going to make that a capital B. Or the other formula would be obviously length times width times height. And remember this right here, let's go back to here. This right here is
equals our base.
Our base. And there you go.
Nicely done. So you guys had a great discussion right there and a couple of different ways to figure that out as far as volume goes. So we're going to go back to your homework paper again.
Okay.
And we're going to take a look at one of the real world problems that we have right here. So do you have a favorite football team? What is your favorite football team?
I don't watch soccer.
Okay.
Football.
So he's on the real football.
He's on
so
the
you said
real
you're a baseball.
football.
Yeah, I'm a baseball guy.
So who's your team?
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers. All right. So we'll let you go on that one, but we'll go ahead and do the problem anyway. So I'm only kidding you. So Fabian is decorating a triangular pennant for a baseball game, let's say. The pennant has a base of 10 and height of 24.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to talk about this pennant and solve it.
What was the base again?
So the base is 10 inches and it has a height of 24.
And the height. Okay. Inches.
Correct.
Okay. What do you think?
So
How are we going to solve this?
It's doing the same exact kind of like square thing.
Okay.
Yeah, square, rectangle. So we're gonna obviously, how we were doing it last time, multiply.
Okay.
And like you said, the last time we tried doing, we could divide one of these in half and just multiply it like that.
Okay. Which number would you rather divide in half?
Maybe the bigger one.
Okay. So what's half of 24?
It would be 12.
Okay. So now what are we going to multiply together?
12 and 10.
Okay. What's 12 times 10?
It would be 120.
And are we done? What are we missing?
No, we have to divide.
Well, we already divided, but what's our units?
Inches squared.
So we don't always have to multiply the numbers and divide it. Here, if we know we could just take a number and cut it in half.
And use mental math.
Yes, and use mental math to help us, exactly. But remember, don't divide both numbers, okay? The other mistake that we want to point out is, what if we are given the diagonal? Do we need the diagonal to help us solve the area of a triangle?
No.
No, we don't. We always want to make sure we are getting the height. And the height is normally notated with some kind of dashed line.
Yeah, because that's different. This would be way longer than the actual height.
Exactly. And you are going to be getting into this more next year and in 8th grade on how to actually determine that.
All right, nicely done. Phoenix, come on over here. So a couple of things for you. Did you learn a little something today?
Yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that volume is a set of multiple bases, and you gotta multiply it by the height.
Okay. And I was going to give you some surface area, but we ran out of time right there, so that's why I wanted you to do that other problem. And did you have fun with Mary from the Symphony?
Yes.
That was pretty cool, right? Doing that and learning a little bit about the measures and things like that, and the X-Y axis as far as music is concerned. And did you have fun today?
I had
That
a
right
lot
there,
of
brother.
fun.
That's what I'm talking about. You have fun doing math, right? All right. Well, we continue success as far as 6th grade goes, and I know you're going to be very successful in 7th and 8th grade as well. You going to do science fair again when you're in junior high school?
Yeah.
Why not? You got 2nd place this year going up against junior high kids. Take it to them next year, get 1st place, and you move on. And we'll be reading about you. You come back and visit us, all right?
All right.
Sounds good. Hey, until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Kern High School District. with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.